everybody, so today I wanted to talk to you about the weight that I've lost on the Starch Solution. So I was doing raw till 4, but we had something kind of unfortunate happen which made it so that my husband and I really needed to try and save our money. So I switched to the Starch Solution, which if you're on a budget, the Starch Solution is a great way to go. Raw till 4 is nice, but it's expensive. I mean, fruit is expensive, and rice and things like that don't really cost a lot of money. So I switched to Starch Solution a little over 2 weeks ago. And before, when I was doing raw till 4, you know, I wasn't expecting to lose a lot of weight right away because, you know, just because most people gain weight on it for the first little bit. But when I switched to Starch Solution, I started to lose a little bit of weight. Not a lot in the first week, but as of right now, about 2.5 weeks in, I've lost 7 pounds, which is great. And most of it's probably water weight because I had been retaining a lot of water. But either way, I'm still really happy about it because for the last couple months, I haven't been able to budge the scale. I gained a lot of weight this year, which is strange because this year I was really focusing on trying to be healthy. But I don't know, I gained a lot of weight. I was really focusing on trying to be healthy, and eat mostly fruits and vegetables and a little bit of nuts and seeds, but not a lot, and I still gain weight. But with Starch Solution, I've started to lose the weight again, which is nice. There are some things that I've been doing extra, though, on top of the Starch Solution, and one of them was adding seaweed into my diet, iodine-rich foods into my diet, because one of the reasons why my doctor says I've been gaining weight is because even though I've been really trying to eat healthfully and really watching what I eat, was I cut out table salt, which was my only source of iodine at the time. And when you cut out iodine, or when you cut out whatever food was giving you the iodine, and your levels drop, it affects your thyroid function. So the doctor looked at me and said she was surprised I didn't have a goiter. My iodine levels were so low. So I started adding some seaweed into my diet. I don't particularly care for seaweed. I hate, don't particularly care. I hate seaweed. I hate it. I lived in Japan for a while, and I still hate seaweed. Like, some people have told me, oh, well, the more you eat it, the more you'll like it. It's like, I've had more seaweed than probably anybody I know from living in Japan. I don't like it. I just don't. But thankfully, I found something, and I know that Dr. McDougall, who wrote the Starch Solution, kind of advises against supplements, but for me, I hate seaweed, and there's no other way I'm getting my iodine. So I bought this. This isn't really, let me just try and show you that. It's kelp. And the reason why I bought kelp as opposed to an iodine supplement is because I still want to get it from a food as opposed to just an isolated nutrient. So this is pretty much just ground up kelp in pills. They look like this. So they're not tablets, they're just capsules with powder inside. So this is just powdered up kelp. Which does have a lot of iodine. So just one of these pills provides you with about 270% of your daily value of iodine, which is what I needed. And just starting to take that, I've noticed a difference just within the first couple days. I've always kind of been somebody who runs cold, so I started taking my temperature maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, just because I was curious. I like gathering data on things, so the more data I have, you know, kind of the better I can understand my situation. So I started taking my temperature and really monitoring what I eat, and I noticed that every day my temperature was in the 96 range. So 96.5, 96.8, you know, about 2 degrees lower than where it should be. And for the doctor, that was a red flag. Usually that's a sign that you have a thyroid problem, but if you're like me and your thyroid levels are normal, it can also be a sign that you're just deficient in iodine. So maybe, yeah, my thyroid levels are in the regular range, but for my body, they might need to be higher, or even though I've got enough thyroid, if I put in more iodine, it'll be better, something like that. So, just from taking this, I've only been taking this for about a week. But so far I've noticed a real improvement. So now when I take my temperature, I'm in the high 96 or 97, which is great, and that's good for only a week, you know? I mean, I managed to raise my body temperature a little bit, which is nice. You know, it's a sign that my metabolism's moving a little bit faster, and it's, you know, it's really helping. I'm not cold all the time anymore either, so like even though like my body was cold, but I was also cold, so my fingers and toes were always freezing. And even though I live in the middle of the desert and it doesn't get that cold here in the winter, I'm still cold all the time. Even in the summertime, like the only time I'm warm is when I'm outside in the summertime and it's 115 degrees outside, and then I'm like, oh, this is nice. And everyone else is dying. But I don't know, I'm always cold. Another thing is that I found a type of seaweed that I don't mind. Not gonna say I like it, but I don't mind it and I will eat it. So that is this type of seaweed right here. It's a Korean variety. I have no idea what this part right here says, because like I said before, I lived in Japan, not Korea. I can't read Korean. But it's just a seaweed snack, and the thing that I like about this seaweed as opposed to the Japanese variety of seaweed is that this one's really thin. And so when you open it up, it's like paper thin. I mean, even more thin than the kind that sushi's wrapped in, and it's really crunchy and crispy. So you just eat it, and it's really crispy, and it's nice. So it does have olive oil on it, and we're not supposed to have free oils, but it's not a huge amount. Like, it's not greasy on your hands or anything like that. It's just a light flavoring agent. And I think that this has really helped a lot too. So I'm getting more iodine now than is recommended for me to get, but since I was deficient in it before, I'm just kind of trying to correct it. I'm not at the point where I would be causing damage or anything like that with too much iodine, so I'm probably getting about 300% of my recommended amount of iodine, which is working out really well, and that in combination with the starch solution has helped me to really lose some weight. So I'm excited because, as I said before, I did gain a lot of weight this year, and it's really frustrating because this is the one year where I was trying. Like before, I would never really try to lose weight necessarily. I was just like, ooh, I'd like to, but not really gonna focus on it. And this year I wasn't focusing on losing weight either. I was focusing on health, but I gained weight, and that's kind of the last thing I expected to happen. And let's see, this year I started off at about 134 pounds, and then at the heaviest I got this year, I was at 154 pounds. Now I realize that 154 pounds is some people's goal weight, but for me, I've never been that heavy before. Well, I had been that heavy once before, and that was right after college, where I'd also gone through a period where I gained some weight. But I'm not the kind of body type that's that heavy. So for me to weigh that much, it was really uncomfortable. None of my clothes were fitting right, and just it's one of those things where you kind of feel like a stranger in your own body, if that makes sense. You feel like something's not right. It's not one of those things where you're bigger, but you're used to it. I became big, and I'm not used to it, and I don't have any intention of getting used to it. So it's like, fix it or get used to it. And I'm really happy that something's finally working. So if you are kind of in that position where you want to shift the scale a little bit, I would definitely recommend checking out the Starch Solution by Dr. John McDougall. It's worked out really well for me so far. It's only been 2 weeks, so I'll have to give another update later, but I'm really excited about it, and I hope you will check it out. So see you in my next video.